Hello, welcome to the first 90 days. I am George Anderson, and let me very quickly tell you a little bit more about what this is all about and why I would love you to join me for the first 90 days of 2022. For the last 20 years, I have been a personal trainer, a coach, a bootcamp instructor, and I have worked with literally thousands of people. And in particular, at this time of year, I know what the challenges can be like, both through my professional work, but also with myself personally. I know the feeling of the buzz of motivation, wanting to make big changes and really make this year count, only for things to just fizzle out after a frustrating first few weeks or even days. Now, I know that you have been there before. You've had the beginning of the year where you felt full of enthusiasm, and then that started to wane after just a short period of time. And yes, it can be incredibly frustrating. There are a number of reasons why this can happen, and the first 90 days sets out to help you overcome all of them. Now, I can't make any promises as to exactly what kind of results you will achieve, but what I can promise you is that if you have goals, if you have plans, if you have aspirations to actually get a grip on things like your diet, your exercise, your sleep, your energy, your stress levels, your ability to bounce back and look at things positively and more optimistically, your relationships, all of those things, these will be potential areas for improvement, not just temporarily through January and then flump back to how they were previously or even below that baseline level, but actually over the course of the 90 days to actually set up some habits, some standards, some practices, and some behaviors that you engage in regularly that actually help you boost yourself forwards for the rest of the year. So over the course of the next few minutes, and indeed on this web page below, I'm just going to be repeating everything that's down there, by the way. So if you're looking for anything new or different, then I'm sorry to disappoint, but maybe it'll give you a bit of an idea if you haven't come across me and my work before, a little bit about my style, my approach. And I will tell you now as well, I don't take things too seriously. Well-being, mindset, mental health, resilience, physical well-being, it's all very serious. But that doesn't mean to say we can't have a bit of fun along the way. So look, let's get stuck in and have a little look at what we're all about. I've broken up the program into 3 sections, and I've called them chapters. I don't want to call them phases or parts. They're like chapters of a book where one leads on to the next. Even though there's a bit of overlap, we're going to be focusing on some fairly distinct areas. And although they won't all resonate or be absolutely essential for you and your progress and performance, you'll probably have some of these things in place already. We're going to be going through them in a fairly sequential format, but we'll make sure that we cover off all the basics first. So chapter 1, we're going to look at some goals. I have a wonderful goal setting approach that we'll be using some elements of to make sure that we have clarity on what it is we want to achieve, why we want to achieve it, and that we are connected to the thing by the things that we're actually going to be doing. So connecting what you're doing to why you're doing it, and also helping to overcome some of those self-sabotage tendencies as well that often get in our way and undo our best intentions. We'll set up some of these foundational habits, the physical well-being around food and activity, exercise included in that as well, of course, sleep habits, digital well-being habits, and other lifestyle factors that really make a difference. I'm very much of the philosophy of progress rather than perfection. So we're going to be taking this step by step rather than going all in, because I'm sure you've experienced what comes, what the result is of that approach in the past. It doesn't usually end well. We're going to look at energy and stress management, and something that I spent a lot of time over this year exploring and researching, and almost launched a whole program on this subject of fat loss accelerators. I'm going to include these in this section as well. This is not purely a fat loss or weight loss program. I promise you that. We're going to be covering all kinds of other things as well around personal development and well-being. But I also know that January is a time when many people will just want to get back in shape, lose a little bit of weight, and just start feeling like themselves again. And if that's you, then I have some gold in store for you as well. Some of the latest scientific breakthroughs when it comes to accelerating and releasing your brakes from the things that you might be doing that are slowing down your progress. You know what it's like when you feel like you're doing everything you should be doing it, you're still not getting results. It just doesn't make sense. Well, that's what we're going to be getting stuck into in this first chapter. We're then going to move on to chapter 2, and I'll explain a little bit more about the format of these different chapters and different months in just a moment as well. We're going to be moving and shifting our attention to resilience and grit. There's a difference between the two. Grit is slightly less well known. This is the work of Angela Duckworth. A lot of positive psychology coming in here as well. I try where I can to base everything that I teach not just on positive psychology and well researched science, but also my experiences and with myself personally and with the people that I've worked with over the last 2 decades. But resilience is your ability to bounce back and go stronger as a result of setbacks and change. And grit is your ability to just keep going towards these long-term goals. So we're going to be differentiating between the two, but also looking for some simple tools that you can adopt that will actually help you on both those counts. We're going to look at the wonderful subject of happiness as well. But this isn't something to pursue and to get to eventually if you achieve your goals, but actually something that you can have right now. We'll look at the different elements of this holistic approach and very scientific approach to happiness as well. And yes, the two things can work in unison. I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite subjects of journaling, and actually an easy way into using this, not just for the sake of it, but in a way that actually helps you to do more of the things that you already know you want to do and to understand yourself without the judgment or maybe criticism that has happened in the past. And finally, chapter 2 is also about really starting this process of reconnecting with a sense of purpose. When we have that sense of purpose, I mentioned the why earlier on, when we have a real deep, turned up volume sense of purpose, it can really help us with maintaining our progress. And then we move on to chapter 3, and we're into the realms of motivation, not just the psychology of motivation, how to think yourself into doing more of these things more consistently, but some of the biology and the neuroscience of motivation as well, some of the chemicals involved that we may well be preventing ourselves from accessing through some of the things that we're engaging. In fact, I know for a fact that this is happening, and I can't wait to share some of the details with you, because the truth is, once you understand it, it's so simple to stop doing these things and to actually start accelerating, or increasing rather, your motivation for doing the right things. Because let's face it, we're all motivated. It's just not being motivated for doing the things that we necessarily want to be doing. That's the problem. We're going to get into mindset as well, which is related to some of the work on resilience. But here we're going to be looking at optimism and positivity in a very non-toxic way, very, very aware that there is a almost a backlash into positivity at the moment. And I'm very positive, I'm very upbeat and optimistic and hopeful. But I'm also very careful that that doesn't become a toxic characteristic where I'm just burying my head in the sand, and I don't want that to happen to you either. So positivity and optimism is something that can be turned up from negative, but we don't want to go all the way to the point that we actually lose touch with reality, because that just ain't healthy either. It's fine to experience the whole range of human emotions, that we just don't want to be dragged down with the negative ones. We want to be focused on maintaining, or where we can, boosting ourselves back up through optimism and positivity. Also creating a sense of calmness as well. You'll see some of these topics kind of appearing in other chapters as well, especially the second chapter and third chapter, a lot of overlap there. But as we go into calmness, this is, again, really looking at some of the things that I've really had to draw deeply on around mindfulness, about pausing, about being in the present moment and not getting too caught up in the future. And to do this in a very self-compassionate way, that sort of acceptance of where I am right now, and to know that actually you are enough just as you are. But that's doesn't mean to say that there's anything wrong with striving for change and striving for more, becoming all that you can be. We'll also, in that final chapter, of course, be looking at what happens next, not just necessarily kind of more programs with George, but like, how do you set yourself up on the right trajectory so that the rest of 2022 goes the way you want it to go? My approach, very briefly, is to help you bridge the gap between knowing and doing. It's about habit formation, not just ideas and intentions, but implementation and impact. How do you go from doing more, from knowing what you should be doing to actually doing them and doing them in this consistent format? So we'll be drawing a lot of the science of habit building, and again, going into some of the work I've been doing a lot of lately, which is around taking the brakes off the things that we do that get in our ways of doing more of these things. And as I mentioned a moment ago as well, this is balance between contentment and happiness right now, but without that diminishing our drive and strive for more. We want and can have both of these things. And I think that a lot of us get caught up in feeling like we should have one or the other. We should be content with where we are right now. And then we feel a little bit more like, oh, there's things I want to achieve, but I should be content and happy now. Or we drive for more and then we're never happy because there's always the goalposts keep on shifting. So how do we get that balance? And that's very much going to be about the approach that we take with the program. And also, as I mentioned, progress, not perfection. We want to be gradually, gently moving ourselves towards the point where we are getting closer to where we want to be, whether that's with our physical results or this sense of balance and mindfulness and calm. Very briefly about the format. Again, remember all this information. If you're watching this video, thank you for sticking with me. It's all down there on the website. So have a read of that as well if you prefer to or need to have a bit of a kind of a visual read of how things are going to work. But generally, everything's going to be online. There's no physical meetups. So no matter where you are in the world, you're not going to miss out on any of this. I'll be delivering all of the mission critical content via email, along with a number of downloadable resources. Now, that's not a daily email. I will be sending out multiple emails a week, one with some content. I'll be drip feeding that through as we go through the program. A little bit of motivation, a bit of a boost, and maybe some deeper reflections, and then a challenge, a commit, kind of an encouragement and an invitation to you almost at the end of each of these weeks to reflect back on how you've got on and to look at what some of those wins have been, what some of those lessons also have been, because we're not expecting to be absolutely smashing it every single day or every single week. I also have a number of live webinars set up as well. So these will be kicking off each of the chapters with a bit of an overview and some objectives and some of the training, some of the content as well. These will be recorded. Don't panic if you can't make it to all of them live. That's okay. I'll make sure that you get access to the recordings of these after in a minimum of 24 hours after they've finished. And I know that with different time zones, not everyone's going to be able to make it to every single session, and that's okay. But we will also have every 2 weeks after each of the live kickoff webinars, sort of a check-in, a bit of a huddle where we can get together and we can have a bit of a relaxed Q&A session. You can share some of the wins, some of the lessons that you've learned, maybe talk about some of the challenges that you're experiencing. So it might be like a group coaching session, again, entirely optional, and these will also be recorded. Now, I know not everyone's on Facebook, but I do also want to provide this as a resource, as a support resource. So if you want, then this will be available. I love my Facebook groups, and this one's going to be absolutely rocking. It's going to be filled just with people who are following the First 90 Days program. We'll be looking at more accountability format processes. We'll be looking at more opportunities to share some of your challenges, share some of your wins, kind of group support, as well as my direct support as well. So that is going to be there as well. So this is what we are essentially looking at through the course of the 90 days. Oh, monthly challenges as well. Sorry, I just saw that pop up there. We'll be looking at monthly challenges too, because this is, I know a lot of you love monthly challenges, or at least these sort of short-term, short physical challenges. So we'll be going through, I've got a number of these lined up, and I'm actually looking forward to these probably more than any of it at all. Any of it, though I think the whole thing is going to rock, because it's all these elements are going to work together beautifully. But the monthly challenges will be sort of 5 or 6 minute physical challenges to do for just 21 days. So it's not going to be every single day of the program, but you have 3 weeks to work on one of these challenges, and then at the beginning of the next chapter, a new monthly challenge will kick off. So loads to keep you occupied and focused for the full 90 days. Now, not everything is going to resonate with you. Not everything's going to be necessary for you. You're going to have some elements absolutely already nailed down, no problems, but other elements you're going to have to maybe double down and work a little harder on. And that's okay. If you feel like you're getting behind as you go through the program, that's okay as well. I expect everybody is probably at some point going to get behind, and I'm anticipating that. And I have strategies in place to make sure that it doesn't become a problem. It's one thing getting behind, it's another thing getting derailed. And I want to make sure that the latter doesn't happen. So it's okay to get behind, but we want to avoid getting derailed and actually completely disconnecting from the program itself. So, hey, look, that's all I've got for you today on this video. If you want to read down the page, find out a little bit more, there's a few more sort of little details about how it's going to run and operate. But if you like what you've heard, like what you've seen so far, then go down the page. We begin on January the 1st, literally the first day of the new year for the next 90 days, right till the end of March. If you have any questions, you can contact me here, George, at bygeorgeanderson.com. Or message me through social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, any of those, the usual suspects. If you're ready to just pull the trigger and get yourself ready for this right now, then head down the page, and all the information about payments and so on is there as well, and you can register to join. There's actually going to be a limit on the number of people that we accept on the program, because I want to make sure everyone gets the full attention and gets what they need, so that I can make sure that nobody does completely get derailed if they do get behind. So if you're keen to do this, you're keen to be a part of it, then don't delay this. Make sure you choose now, or as soon as you can, as soon as you're ready. Hit that buy now button, register yourself on the program, and I will be with you. Well, actually, I'll be with you a little bit before January the 1st. I've got a few things to give you in advance of that. We'll be getting the Facebook group set up, for example, a few little things set up in there. But I'm also going to send out a couple of worksheets in advance, probably around Christmas time, just before Christmas, so you can work on that if you have a little bit of downtime. If you want to get a jump on the program, don't have to, but the option is going to be there, so you can actually get a bit of a running start with it if that's your preference. If you'd rather leave it till January the 1st before you even open things up and look at it, that's fine as well. But I want to give you the option if you want to get that little bit of a jump on things before we get going. Any questions, as I said, message or email me. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you in January. Bye for now.